I was on a team that won the national championship. Every Ukrainian knows someone who died. There was a lot of worry and anxiety. I was scared for my family and scared for my friends. I had no energy. I had absolutely no desire to live. Eating disorders are not about food. It's more about control, and when everything feels out of control in your life. I think I was just desperate for some control. It's easy to give up, but I feel like if you put 100% every day into what you're doing, I think there's no way you can fail. As long as you're doing the scary things and the things that are hard, you can always be proud of yourself. Give yourself grace and compassion and appreciate yourself for what you can do.
Welcome to the Winners Club podcast. I'm your host, Bryce Wilson. Today I'm here with D1 tennis player Sabina Zeynalova.
Thank you for having me.
So we're going to get into your mindset and also what it's like being a D1 athlete. But before that, I want to hear about your journey to become a D1 athlete. So where are you from and who are you as an athlete growing up?
So I'm from Ukraine. Becoming a D1 tennis player was never my goal. My goal was always to be a professional tennis player. But my mom insisted on me going to college. And I had huge fights with her about it because I did not want to go. But here I am.
Do you have any regrets of like, or I wish I wouldn't went pro earlier? Or not? Do you have regrets or not?
No,
Okay.
I don't have any regrets. I think college is a really good place for developing my game and just like growing up as a person, maturing and just becoming independent. Because growing up, I've always been surrounded by my family and they would always overprotect me. So I didn't have to care about anything but tennis.
Right.
And here it's like a lot more social life, a lot more things to care about, like studying and just like developing new connections. And so it's like a lot more things to do. And I think it's a really cool thing for like personal growth.
Okay, so you're glad you went this route.
Oh yeah.
Okay.
100%. 100%.
But when you were younger, you were top ranked in Ukraine. So what do you think led to you being top ranked in Ukraine? Was it talent or what do you think led to that?
I think the culture of tennis is very different in Europe and in America. And I feel like Ukraine is a completely different story because it's a lot more serious. Coaches are a lot more demanding and they like ask you to put a lot of work in. They don't even ask you to put the work in. You're required to do it. Like no one will ever beg you to do the work. And I feel like here in America, sometimes coaches have to like find words of encouragement and like keep motivating players. And I think in Ukraine, for some reason, it's vice versa. Like players are highly motivated and they don't need any like encouragement from the outside.
So what did you learn from growing up in Ukraine? I know it's probably normal for you, but it's different from coming over here. So what do you think would you learn from growing up in Ukraine?
I learned that it's important to put the work in, and I know that the hard work pays off. I learned a lot about respect to the coaches because in Ukraine, my mom would always tell me like, your coach is your God. You have to like obey him and do everything he asks you to do. And there's no other way around it. And if you don't do it, you'll not play tennis. So I had a really like rigid rules about how I have to behave with my coach, what I'm allowed to say, what I'm not allowed to say. I kind of realized that, okay, the coach is here and I have to trust him and I have to listen to him. And I think it's something that I learned in Ukraine working with Ukrainian coaches.
So I guess you definitely have to balance that and not listen to everything they say, but you definitely, the respect is definitely should be there.
Yeah, I think it has its pros and cons. I've encountered coaches that would tell me that I'm not a good tennis player. I'm a terrible person. I do all the wrong things. And I believed them just because I'm so used to believing them, which didn't help me to feel more confident or good about myself.
What advice do you say to people who are going through that situation where they have the coaches that aren't the best for them? Like, what'd you learn from that situation going through that?
I feel like it has to do a lot with like self-esteem because if it's low, like you tend to listen to everything your coach says. And I feel like people with a higher self-esteem and a little bit more confidence in themselves, they're able to kind of like differentiate words, what is bullshit and what is not. But I feel like if you're the person that tends to trust everything the coach says. I would say maybe listen to your parents or someone who's close to you and really cares about you to hear about their opinion, because sometimes it's really hard to be like, okay, this is definitely not me. Like, I'm a better tennis player than he thinks I am. And it's hard to like make this decision and make this like think about it in your head, and it's easier from the outside perspective.
So yeah, get different perspectives. Don't just listen to one person.
Yeah.
Okay. And so getting to college, how was that recruiting process? And yeah, how did you settle on UT out of everywhere you could have went?
The recruiting process was not existed because it was COVID.
Oh yeah, sure.
So I wasn't able to like travel and see the university and the campus. So my coach recruited me on Zoom.
Really? Wow.
Yeah. And I committed in May and came in August the same year. So it was really like last moment commitment. And I just got lucky because one of the girls went pro. So her spot just like opened up.
Were you talking with them for a long time before that?
My mom asked me if I want to go to college in January 2021. And I was like, hell no, I'm not going to college. I'm going pro. And then she would like send emails from my email address pretending it's me. She would send it to like all the colleges and all the coaches. So they reached out to us, to my mom. And she set up the Zoom meeting and we talked. And I was like, maybe, yeah. He looks like a good guy. Maybe I can try, you know?
So she just told you, oh, we have a Zoom meeting today. You gotta be here.
Yeah, exactly. She would like not talk to me. If I say like, no, I don't want to talk with anyone, she would not talk to me for like a week. And it was just like a silent treatment. So I had to like agree.
How many Zoom meetings did you meet with different coaches?
Maybe like 5, 6.
Okay.
I looked at other universities like UGA, NC State. But like all the good universities, they have like their spots like how to say?
Right. Where they fill up quickly. You're not last minute.
Yeah, quickly and like 2 years ahead.
Right.
So
yeah,
like
exactly.
the juniors in the high school, they already know they're gonna go to I don't know, Pepperdine.
Right.
And I had no idea I would go to college. So it was like the last moment thing. So I didn't have as much options. But I had like 3.
So how'd you settle on UT even through Zoom? Like how'd you know which one to pick through Zoom?
I wasn't thinking about UT because I thought Texas is a desert. Like there's nothing in here. Like Cowboys and but then I looked in Google like what is Austin? And it looked cool and we read a lot about how like Tesla is moving here and Apple and all that stuff. Which I don't really care about, but my mom was like, yeah, that's good. Like, you should go there. Also, the season, 2021 season, for women's tennis team was really successful. And that was one of the reasons why I was like, oh, maybe I should consider that because tennis was my priority and not academics.
So then getting here, how was the transition when you first got here? Like how'd you adapt? Even really just traveling, like first, traveling and just in the tennis sense.
Here is it's a completely different world. I was definitely not ready for it. The first thing that I've noticed when I came here is how much you guys blast AC inside of the buildings. And I was like, that's weird. Like, how am I supposed to live here? Like, I can't even turn it off in my dorm. Like, you know,
cold everywhere.
These little things, they were like uncomfortable at first, but then now I don't really notice anything anymore. And even after like first semester of being here, I came back home and my mom was like, Sabi, you've changed so much. And I'm like, yeah, I know. Like,
in what way? How did the American culture change you?
I think I became more confident and just very sociable. Sociable?
Yeah, sociable is right. Yeah.
I was really insecure before I came. I was so into tennis. There was nothing in my life except for tennis, so I didn't really have a chance to explore anything else. And here I realized that life is so much fun. And it doesn't have to be all about tennis.
So what are some things you like to do to balance the tennis?
I've never had that much friends in my life as I have here, so I love hanging out with them. I love exploring typical like American pastimes like Dave and Buster's.
Okay.
I've never been to Dave and Buster's. ever. And my American friend showed it to me, and
And you're sold. It's like,
yeah, I went there for my birthday, and it was just like, wow,
wow,
that's huge.
that's funny.
Yeah,
Yeah, Dave and Buster's a good spot. And then
yeah.
by the end of the year, you won the national championship.
hmm
So how was that? Or how did, yeah, on the tennis sense, how was that year in tennis sense? I'm sure it's probably difficult when you first got there. Then what do you think led to the championship at the end?
Honestly, when I came to college, I was so nervous because I didn't know if I was good enough to play high in the lineup, or am I even gonna play in the lineup. So I was really concerned about, oh my god, like, am I gonna make it? But then when the season started, I kind of felt like, being on a team is definitely a huge advantage.
Mm.
It makes you feel like you're not alone in this. And I feel like it really helped me to feel more calm and confident, and just having all that support. It's very important for
Mhm.
doing great things.
Did you struggle in the beginning and you use your team to get better? And then, yeah, what do you think led to your team? I don't really know how it works, but what do you think led to your team winning that national championship?
It definitely makes it easier to practice when you know there's 11 girls uh, with you
Mhm.
doing the exact same thing, going through the same conflicts with coaches or
Mhm.
like with other teammates. And it's kind of like a good environment, I feel like.
Mhm.
Of course, we can have issues and problems, but I feel like in general, I think it's a huge, how to say, advantage
Mm.
when you're on a team.
What were some of the struggles you had to overcome? If you could be open about that.
Just like, every person is different.
Mhm.
And I think when you have 11, 12 people on a team, it's really hard to be friends with everyone and be best friends with everyone,
Right.
I would say. I wouldn't say I wasn't friends with someone,
Mhm.
but I would definitely say that some people were closer and some people were not. But I feel like it's more about just like personal preferences and just like silly stuff like who wants to practice at 2 or who wants to practice at 2:45.
Mm.
That
Okay.
kind of stuff. It
Okay.
was nothing, it was never really that deep,
Mhm.
but it's just like little things that occur on a team,
Yeah.
which is inevitable.
Behind the scenes things that nobody really
Yeah.
sees. But so, what was the experience of actually winning the national championship and like the aftermath of that? Like, what was that experience like?
It was nice because when I came here, I came in 2021,
Mhm.
and when I started my freshman season, um, I had to introduce myself to everyone and say like, "Hey, like I'm a freshman. I'm on a tennis team," and people would be like, "Oh my god, congratulations on your like big national championship title." I was
Right.
like, thanks. I wasn't on the team, but thank you. That's
Uh-huh.
I appreciate it."
Mhm.
And I've always felt like I wasn't a part of it, and I
Mhm.
was kind of like congratulated for something I've never done
Mhm.
and never contributed to. And I felt like after I was on a team that won the national championship,
Mhm.
I felt a lot more like, yeah, it makes sense that they congratulate me,
Mhm.
because it kind of gave me this sense of like pride for the team
Mhm.
and pride for like our achievement, because I feel like it was a really hard thing to do.
Yeah, yeah,
So
definitely. Yeah, you earned it. Definitely. Following that year, is that when the war in Ukraine happened? So, can you talk about how did that impact you, just mentally, like during on the court, and just in general? How that impact you?
there was a lot of worry and anxiety, and just I was scared for my family and scared for my friends,
Mhm.
because I mean every Ukrainian knows someone who died, or
Mhm.
like a friend who like friend's dad who went to war and stuff like that.
Mhm.
So it's like a very serious stuff that I had to deal with on a day-to-day basis. But I feel like my coach was really supportive. He made sure I got all the support in the world I could get, like therapy, and just like he would meet with me regularly and ask me how I'm doing, and just like he was wearing the Ukrainian ribbon on his head, and
Nice.
just
Yeah.
like, and my teammates as well, they were really supportive. So I think although it is still a really hard thing to live with,
Mhm.
I think that my environment makes it a little bit easier.
Mhm.
My best friend, she's really thoughtful and cares about it a lot.
Mhm.
So I think I'm just lucky to be surrounded by people who
Mhm.
support me.
So the support really helped. Can you talk about therapy and just yeah the importance of speaking when you're going through tough times? Can you talk about that?
A lot of people think they don't deserve to get help.
Mm.
Their issues are not significant enough to ask for help, even if there was no war in Ukraine and something else would bother me.
Mhm.
I would still speak up because that's just the person I am. Like
Mhm.
I always talk about my feelings and what I'm feeling, and I don't think I don't deserve to talk about them, but
Mhm.
I know a lot of people do feel this way, and I think it's detrimental to yourself. Like I think you always deserve to get help no matter what bothers you, even if someone has it worse.
Mhm.
Like it doesn't make your problems less of a problem.
Yeah, so just don't be afraid to ask for help and ask for
Yeah.
support. You also told me about you're on the pro circuit, like in the summer, you get no days off basically. You've been training for the college team, and then after that, you're in the pro circuit. So how is that being pro, or like how's that experience?
It's hard. I think when you are a professional tennis player, you definitely have more time to be like, okay, I think I need to take 3 days off
Mhm.
because my body's tired. I don't think it's an option here just because we play every week.
Mhm.
And sometimes you just have to push through it.
Mhm.
It sounds horrible, but like it actually very rewarding, and I
Mhm.
think it makes me happy to play for something more than just myself. But yeah, balancing it with professional tournaments, I think it's really really hard.
What is the tennis like? Is there a big jump in difference between college and pro circuit? So
Yeah.
yeah, what is that like? How do you like mentally switch from college to pro?
Oh, honestly, I don't know. Like,
Yeah.
I still have to figure this out because college is so much fun
Mhm.
when you have this like loud cheering and just like screaming, and people are like screaming Texas fight and
Yeah.
let's go horns and stuff
Mhm.
like that. And then you go play pro tournaments and there's literally no one there, and you're kind of by yourself,
Mhm.
no coaches, no teammates, and you're kind of like, oh my God, like where is the adrenaline? I can't get in the same like mental focus just
Mhm.
because the environment is completely
Mhm.
different. And I think I just have to like manage it and realize, okay, like it doesn't matter what's going on like
Mhm.
around me, I still can find this like inner confidence and inner fire
Right.
to like play my best tennis.
So how is this year going, and what's your ambitions for going forward? I'm assuming that you want to go pro and then maybe win another couple national championships. Like, what's your ambitions going forward?
I would like us to win another national championship. I think that would be huge because it would be three back to
Oh yeah,
back.
yeah, yeah. It's been, yeah.
They
These
call it
co-
three-peat or
yeah,
something.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. So that was a bit about your story, but now we can get into your mindset. So off the bat, are there any things you do to take care of your mental health? Like,
Um, I have a lot of therapy.
okay, yeah.
I'm like not afraid to talk about it
Mhm.
because it's like a necessity. I feel like
Mhm.
it would never hurt to go to therapy.
Mhm.
But I definitely learned how to give myself some like rest and breaks and be more gentle to myself
Mhm.
and not push myself whenever I feel like I need rest, because previously I would be so anxious about like getting better, and I thought that like one day off is gonna reset my progress. I'm
Mhm.
not gonna improve as much if I
Right.
take days off, which
Mhm.
is like
It's unhealthy, yeah.
not, it's crazy, like
Mhm.
it doesn't work this way.
Mhm.
And it took me some time to realize it, and I think I'm getting better at like stopping myself and being like, okay, you're doing great, like
Mhm.
it's
Yeah.
okay.
Was there a lowest moment after you kind of realized these things of taking days off and going to therapy? Like, was there a moment that you realized something had to change?
Oh yeah, because I would get so burned out.
Mhm.
Just like I have this crazy personality where when I see the progress, it's really hard for me to stop.
Mhm.
Like if I see that my serve becomes really really good, I'm going to practice it every day for like a very long
Mhm.
time until my I can just like put my arm up like
Mhm.
which is like very bad
Mhm.
because I mean, I don't want to injure
Yeah, exactly.
myself.
Mhm.
I think it just became a problem when I just was so tired all the time
Mhm.
that I couldn't like do basic like strokes, and I was like, okay, I think something has to
Well,
change, you
yeah,
know.
we can get into it as much as you want to, but so earlier you said you're open about how you went through your eating disorder and everything. So can you talk about that of when it started and kind of go through that process of what you learned through that experience?
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's I feel like there's no like one moment where I could like pinpoint and
Mhm.
say, "Oh, this is the moment I knew I had an eating disorder."
Right.
I think it was just accumulation of a lot of events that happened to me It's important to realize that eating disorders are not about food.
Mm,
It's more about control. And when everything feels out of control in your life, you just focus on one thing that makes you feel like you actually have control over something.
mhm,
So I think I was just desperate for some control and I seeked for it. And I think it was a period of my life when I moved from Ukraine to the US, and
right,
then we had some family issues. My
mm,
parents divorced,
mm,
and then it became even worse when the war started.
yeah, definitely.
So,
Right,
like, it was just a lot of
right.
things to
Mhm,
process.
mhm,
And I think um, it's just one of the coping mechanisms I discovered,
mhm.
unfortunately.
Yeah, maybe not when you started, but when did you kind of realize, "Hey, this is a problem?"
I didn't realize it.
Yeah,
It was the nutritionist that was like,
mhm,
Sabina,
yeah,
this is not great. Like, what you're doing is probably not the best thing
mhm,
to do.
mm.
And I was like, what are you talking about? Like, are
Right.
you trying to make me fat?
Mhm,
Like, no,
mhm,
I know what I'm doing.
mhm,
Obviously, I didn't know what I was doing, but
right,
she was like, Sabi, I think you have an issue. As much as I didn't want to admit it, um, there was a point where I was like, oh my God, I think I'm gonna not die, but I just thought that I had no energy. I had absolutely no desire to like live
mhm,
because it just became so hard physically and mentally
mhm,
that I was like, okay, maybe I need some
yeah.
help.
How did that affect your tennis? Apparently, you're still performing well on the
Hmm.
tennis. How was
That's
that?
crazy.
Yeah, you don't know how. You still don't
Yeah,
know.
I don't know how. Honestly, like looking back at last year, I still have like pictures, of
Mhm,
course, from all the matches, and I just look at myself and I think like how mental it all was,
mhm,
because like when you have nothing to give physically,
mhm,
you tap into like all the mental resources you
right,
have,
right, mhm,
and it's just the mental toughness I think I have is the thing that helped me, and I think it kind of like made me keep going,
mhm,
although I was like really, really
right.
struggling physically.
Right. Yeah, maybe the difficult situation you've been through gave you that mental toughness. Then also,
Mm-hmm.
maybe those weren't healthy coping mechanisms. But what are some healthy coping mechanisms you've learned over the years of
Mm-hmm.
to combat that?
Meditation.
Hmm.
I meditate every day.
Okay, nice.
Yeah.
Hmm.
I wish I was meditating more because all the meditations I do are like very short, like
Right.
5 minutes.
What's your meditation process?
I meditate in the evening because
Okay.
it makes me really sleepy in like during the day, and I
Mm.
don't want to be sleepy.
Right.
I take hot showers and it helps me to like go to sleep and
Hmm.
stuff. But then also one of the coping mechanisms is just like having a routine, I
Hmm.
feel like. Because again, eating disorders are about control.
Hmm.
And one of the things that can make you feel like you have some kind of control is have a routine.
Hmm.
So like when I wake up, I drink my water, take my vitamins, go take cold shower, brush my teeth, have breakfast, and go about my day. And this is how my day starts every day.
Right.
And then I have a routine for nighttime, and I go through it every day, every night. So it's like thing that helps me to kind of be like, okay,
Hmm.
there's some things under my control,
Right.
and yeah, I can decide what I want to do right now.
Right. But what about like the food part? Because it's still gonna be an ongoing thing. You still have to continue to work on. So, what advice do you give to someone who's kind of going through that wants to improve in that situation?
It would be um wrong to assume that once you're recovered for good.
Mm-hmm.
I still find myself struggling.
Mm-hmm.
Some days it's better, some days it's worse. For example, today is one of the days when I'm like thinking about food a little bit more than usual.
Mm-hmm.
But I think it gets better
Mm.
eventually.
Okay.
Therapy helps, working with nutritionists helps, and then just surrounding yourself with people, and being in an environment that fosters recovery and encourages you to keep going, and loves you just the way you are,
Mhm.
and regardless of your body size or the way your gear looks on you, eventually it gets better and it gets easier to eat, and you see improvements in every aspect of your life. So
Mhm.
I think it definitely
Nice.
worth it.
We can also talk about on the court now. So, in tennis, you're by yourself, so you talk to yourself a lot. So, what are some things you say to yourself when you're in a match?
I sing a lot in my
Okay.
head. Like
Mhm.
there's always something playing in the back of my mind, like some kind of music. Sometimes it's like random song I heard on TikTok like 5 days ago,
Mm-hmm.
which I don't really like, but it's just something that plays in my head, and I'm like, why are you playing in my head? But it's important to stay positive and be like, okay, I got this, and kind of like trust yourself,
Right.
because the moment you stop trusting yourself is when immediately like I can't put one ball with my backhand.
Right.
But then once you were like, okay, that's fine, like my mistakes don't define me as a person, like I just have to keep going, I just have to do the right thing, I just have to keep trusting myself, I know what to do, I practiced a lot, I have this like muscle memory, and I know like I put this ball in practice 2 days ago, so I can do it right now. And it's just like refocusing your mind on like what you can do and you know you're able to do. I think it makes a difference on the court and just like improves your mental performance.
What's the most pressure you've felt in a match, and how'd you deal with it?
It's all in your head.
Mhm.
Like the pressure for me, let's say I create my own pressure. I set a standard for myself that, okay, I cannot lose today, or I should win today. I should not play I should play aggressive today, and I put all these like restrictions on myself and just like stop myself from being creative and just play with passion and love. And I think when you forget to realize why you started playing in the first place, you start to get into like, oh my god, what's gonna happen if I lose? Oh my god, like what my coach is gonna say, like my parents are gonna be mad at me or whatever. Like once you think about these things, it's the moment when you forget how to play tennis. You're not your best self anymore on the court. And I think it's just like reminding yourself that, okay, I love tennis, I enjoy every moment on court, I enjoy every moment of the sport, regardless how bad or good it is. It is still enjoyable, and I'm choosing to experience it, and I might as well enjoy it.
Well, how do you maintain your passion in the sport? You said you train and practice year round. Like it's monotonous to do the same thing over and over. So how do you maintain that passion?
I focus much less on my outcomes, like the goals, because it's really, really, really easy to burn out when you set up a goal. Let's say I want to win individual NCAA championship, and you don't win this. Like everything can happen.
Right.
You might win, you might not win. And sometimes it doesn't depend on you. So just focusing on what you can do, how you can improve in the moment, like focusing on the process of getting better and better. I think it's the thing that keeps me motivated and not getting burned out if something doesn't go well.
Right.
Because I just don't focus on winning. I focus on, okay, I know I have to work on my slice today.
Right.
So I'm just gonna slice when it's comfortable in the match. And then I'll evaluate myself based on how well I can just keep going, keep doing what I'm doing, instead of, oh my god, I lost, or oh my god, I won.
Right. I say focus on like the process, not the prize.
Yeah.
Because of course you can have that goal of the prize, but you have to focus on the process. Or if you lose a game, then you're gonna be feeling bad the whole day.
Yeah.
Can you talk about that mental toughness and how you cultivated that? Because I think that's a very important probably part of your game. So how do you cultivate that mental toughness if you were to teach someone else that? I know it's gonna be hard, but if you could give some tips to somebody on how to develop that mental toughness.
Yeah, honestly, I think I've always thought that it's a very common thing. Like everyone has it, but apparently not everyone has it. And like it's easy to give up, but I feel like your desire to get better should be strong enough to be like, okay, I'm gonna do everything I can. Like in this moment, I give everything I can out of myself, and then after practice, I can relax, I can chill and do whatever. But like right here, right now, I'm giving all I have because, I have a clear idea of what I want to do in my life, and this is what can help me to get better, and this is what I'm gonna do. It's just like viewing it as a step to get better and improve yourself. And if you put 100%, if you put 100% every day into what you're doing, I think there's no way you can fail. I think that what keeps me going, keeps me being like really tough. But I think I'm a really anxious person.
Okay, yeah.
So I think it's a
It's a
50-50
balance.
thing. I think it's my personality, just like very anxious,
Mhm,
stressed out person.
mhm,
But it's also like I really want something,
mhm.
and I'm gonna do anything to achieve it.
How do you deal with that failure though? So you can give 100%, and I think in the long term definitely will work out, but maybe you still might lose a game or a match.
Hmm.
So how do you deal with losing a match? Like how do you deal with those tough losses?
Yeah. So let's say, for example, last week I lost a match, the first one this season,
Mm,
and of course you don't want to lose. Of
right,
course you don't want to. You want to have this perfect record of like 29 wins and zero losses, but
right.
like that's attainable, but not really. And instead of being like, oh my god, like my record is not zero anymore, and like I played like a really bad tennis player, like
Mhm,
I'm not sure if I can work my way up from here, and
mhm,
kind of started doubting myself.
right,
It's okay to feel this way for like first 5 minutes after you lost your match,
mhm,
but then I think it's important to say, okay, what went wrong, like being like, okay, I'm just gonna work on this, and not thinking like, oh, I'm such a failure, like this sucks and my tennis career's over. Like
right.
it's not.
Mhm,
It's just another opportunity for you to see where you're at
mhm,
and where you can go and how much room for improvement you have. And I
mhm,
think it it's very motivates me a lot because I see the room for improvement and I'm like, hell yeah, I'm gonna take this
mhm,
opportunity to get better.
mhm,
And why would I be sad about
right.
like, discovering this new
Yeah,
opportunity?
it seems like you're a confident person, but it sounds like you developed that. Like you said, and growing up, you weren't as confident. So how'd you develop your confidence?
I'm not very confident person.
You seem like it. I don't know. Yeah.
um, Fake it until you make it. I
Okay.
think my confidence comes from passion that I have for
Mhm,
tennis, and like no matter what the environmental circumstances are, no matter how you feel inside, if you're anxious today or if you're not anxious today, you can always like tap into this like resourced place where you can allow yourself to be a champion, where you allow yourself to be who you can be.
mhm,
And I know I showed it to myself multiple times that like even in the shittiest situations I can regroup, reset myself and be like, okay, that's
mhm,
fine. Um I am where my feet are. I'm right here right now.
mhm,
This is what I can do about it right now. And being present
mhm.
is really helpful to kind of like overcome situations where something goes wrong.
Yeah, how do you infuse like enthusiasm and fun into how you play?
Recently, I've been working on being more aggressive on court.
Mhm,
So we work on these things in practice,
mhm,
work on hard things that I've never worked on before. And whenever I do this in match and like I do the thing that we practiced,
mhm.
I like turn around and like say, let's go, come on, and
Right.
like smile at them. And I
Mhm,
can see them like smiling back.
mhm.
And it's kind of like very rewarding because
Mhm.
you're like, okay, I practiced
I
this
did
and now
practice.
I can like do it in match. It's
Mhm.
like crazy.
Right.
Maybe it will take a month or two, or
Right.
maybe, I don't know, a year.
Yeah.
But like eventually it will happen. And I think I just find joy in, doing hard things that I've
Mhm.
never done before.
So basically, if you do something good, just celebrate it. Like, don't be
Yeah.
afraid to yell and scream. Like,
Yeah.
all right, good. You gave me some great insights so far. Now we'll get into the final five. These are the final five questions I like to ask every athlete. So the first one is, what's a misconception about being a D1? And maybe we could say pro athlete too.
A lot of people think that D1 athletes are dumb.
Mhm,
Um, I don't think they are. I think they're just really busy with tennis and, I mean, just their
mhm,
sport.
mhm,
People sometimes underestimate how determined we are. And even if we're not good at, I don't know, accounting, we can still be like trying to like, you know, figure it out because we have this like inner
drive.
motivation to
Yeah.
be the best at everything we
Right.
do.
You're right. Exactly.
So sometimes it's like a bad thing, but like we will try our best to understand something. And I think it's far more um, important than being naturally like smart. I
Mhm,
think it's the ability to learn and ability to be like, okay, that's hard, but I'm gonna try everything I can
mhm,
do to understand it. I think it's far more valuable and more important for your future.
What's the worst conditioning workout of your career?
The worst one was in Ukraine,
Mm,
definitely. People kill players in Ukraine.
uh,
Like coaches are crazy, they're
mm.
psychos. Probably one of my preseason workouts maybe 2 years ago. There's like a month and a half,
Mhm,
which is called preseason,
mhm.
where you basically kill yourself every day for a month and a half,
Uh,
progressively.
because it gets worse and worse.
Yeah.
Oh my.
So I think there were definitely some of the workouts that
Mhm.
I'll never forget.
Okay, so that was some bad memories. Now we'll talk about the good ones. So, what was your best memory in your sport?
My main accomplishment, not accomplishment, but like the thing that tennis gave me is an opportunity to be here.
Mm,
And I think it's such a cool place to be and such a cool place to develop yourself as a person and tennis player that I think um, even if I don't end up being pro and world number one or whatever I want to be,
right.
I think tennis already gave me so much
Mhm.
that I'm gonna be forever grateful for.
What's some advice you could give to a high school athlete that wants to uh, go college or go pro?
Be receptive to coaches' advices. Be receptive to your teammates, like especially those who are like, I don't know, upperclassmen. They probably know a little bit more. So it's important to listen to what they say about like, hey, you shouldn't do this
Mhm,
when coach says this, and
mhm,
just like being really, prepared to like maybe make little adjustments in the way you behave with people and just be a lot more appreciative about the opportunities you get when you're a D1 tennis player or just D1 athlete, because I think a lot of athletes don't realize how privileged they are
mhm,
when they have all of these like things they can utilize. So I think it's just like being ready to grind and
mhm,
being ready to for a new community and a new setting.
mhm. Last question. How do you define the word winner?
Yeah, I think it's something that doesn't really have to do with the outcome.
Mhm,
I think as long as you are doing the right things and you know you're doing the right things, let's say you're working on something and it's really scary to implement it into your game, like it's the worst thing you can think about, but
mhm,
this is a necessity you have to do
mhm,
to grow. And I think as long as you're doing the scary things and the things that um, are hard, you can always be proud of yourself because it's like, okay, I failed today, but I tried it and I'm proud of myself for trying, because it's better if I try it than never tried and just stuck in the same place. So I think it's about like little improvements and just being uh how to say uh give yourself grace and compassion and just like appreciate yourself for what you can do.